Hello, good morning. Welcome to today's class. I'm your facilitator, Grace Orishamokiambi, a student pursuing education art, majoring on English and literature. And my registration number is BED 050373 2020. So our today's class, we are going to be tackling morphology, and it's also our unit for this semester. So feel welcome. In case of any question or any inquiry, do feel free to post on the chat box. So I'll first start by giving a brief introduction of what you as a learner expect from this topic of today. Then I'll move on to stating the objectives that I, as your facilitator or your teacher, expect from you as my learner coming towards the end of the lesson. I hope you're together till there. So let's start our class. Like I stated before, our topic is morphology. So introduction. Morphology, this is the study of the internal structure of words and forms a core part of the linguistic study today. The term morphology is a Greek word and it's a makeup of two words. That is a makeup of morph to mean shape or form, and a makeup of ology, which means the study of something. So morphology as a major level of linguistic analysis plays a considerable role in producing and building thousands of English words. English derives a huge number of words on a daily basis from all the languages of the world, and morphology gives you a rough idea about the source of the words with rules and regulations on how to form new words. So the study of the word structure is called morphology. Understanding word structure helps you improve spelling and expand on your vocabulary. So some of the learning objectives I expect from you as my learner include, by the end of the lesson, you as my learner, you should be able to define the term morphology. And secondly, you should be able to explain the units in the analysis of word structure. So what are these units that I want you to be able to explain at the end of the lesson? I want you to be able to explain what a morpheme is, a morph, allomorph, root, stem, and affix. You should be in a position to explain, whether roughly or in depth, what these word structure analyses mean. So moving on to the body of our lesson today, we are first going to start with definition of the word morphology. And you're going to find that morphology is a sub-branch of linguistics, which deals with internal structure of words. So the basic units of study in morphology are morphemes. And a morpheme is the smallest unit that has meaning or grammatical function. However, the definition is not usually sufficient because in other languages, you'll find that a single word will be a whole sentence to them. For instance, have a look at this Swahili word, nitakuja. It means I will be coming or I am on my way, yeah? Whereas the same word in English comprises of three morphemes. The first morpheme being I, the second one being will, and the third one being come. So all the three morphemes are the ones that are combined to be able to form a complete sentence and to be able to bring out a complete syntactical meaning of what exactly the fair of what exactly you expect to happen, yeah? When I say I, you don't really know what I will do, yeah? But when I say I will come, you know that it's not somebody else, it's me that will be coming, and I won't be doing anything else. I won't be crying, I won't be jumping, I won't be eating. I will be coming, yeah? So all the three morphemes are the ones that have been combined to be able to bring out a complete syntactical meaning of the sentence. Whereas in Swahili, the same meaning is derived with just one morpheme. I hope you're together. So you're going to find that morphology can also be said to be the study of word forms. Different languages have different word forms. If the morpheme is the basic unit of study, then we can therefore say it is the smallest unit in morphology. So have a look at these morpheme sets have been stated here. For example, irritation, you're going to find that it has two morphemes, yeah, which we are going to tackle after this. The first one being the free morpheme and the other one being the bound morpheme. So you're going to find that irritate is a verb, but then when you add the suffix ion or ion, it's going to change from being a verb to being a noun. So that is the power that these morphemes have. They are capable of changing from a word from one word class to another. So thus morphology is the way in which words are formed through smaller units called morphemes. And like I said, in our example here, our two morphemes are irritate and ion. So you're going to come and find that there are two types of morphemes, yeah? And before we even get to the types, what is morpheme? We've described it before. What is morpheme? I will describe it again for you. A morpheme is a meaningful morphological unit of a language that cannot be further divided. And the two types of morphemes include free morpheme and bound morpheme. So free morpheme, this is it's a lexical that occurs on its own. Whether added suffixes or prefixes, the morpheme can make sense on its own. For example, if I tell you walk, that is to mean move from one position to another. The word by itself makes complete sense. The word by itself is a lexical, and the word by itself forms a free morpheme. Whereas bound morpheme, on the other hand, it cannot occur on its own. It requires other lexicals for it to be able to make meaning, yeah? For example, most of these bound morphemes usually are affixes. It's either a prefix or a suffix. And what are prefixes and suffixes? Prefixes, these are words that are added to a lexical for them to be able to make sense, but then they are added at the beginning. Note that prefixes are added at the beginning of the lexical to be able to completely change the lexical from one word class to another and to be able to change its meaning, yeah? Whereas suffixes are added in a word, but at the end of the word. And what do? They also change the meaning of the sentence as much as change its word class. So recapping on what I've said about suffixes and prefixes, suffixes usually are at the end. Prefixes usually are at the beginning. I hope you're together. So basically, what I mean is a free morpheme, it is a morpheme that can occur on its own or with other morphemes. Free morpheme entails a lexical meaning. For example, laugh, walk, book, person, spoon, and etc. Whereas bound morphemes, it cannot occur on its own, but it is always attached to a free morpheme. And although it has a distinct meaning, the meaning is usually grammatical. However, a bound morpheme, when not attached to a free morpheme, its meaning becomes difficult to fathom or to understand or to discern. So here are some of the examples containing both the free morpheme and the bound morpheme. Remember, we've said that a free morpheme, it can either occur on its own or with other morphemes. And what are these other morphemes? These are the bound morphemes. Are we together? So you're going to find that, for example, unrealistic. Unrealistic by its own, that is a free morpheme. But then when you start disintegrating it, you're going to find that it has the prefix, which is the additional word to a lexical. The lexical here is realistic. And the lexical is a free morpheme. It can make sense on its own. It doesn't need any additional morphemes for it to be able to make sense. Whereas an, on the other hand, which is a prefix, requires the lexical. It requires the realistic part of it to be able to make sense. Because when you say an doesn't make sense. When I tell you an, what is that? It doesn't have meaning on its own. It relies on another free morpheme for it to be able to make sense. And you're going to find that the moment that unrealistic has been added, its meaning has changed. The lexical word initially was realistic to mean that something makes sense. But then the moment the additional bound morpheme was added to it, then its meaning completely changed. It moved from a word that makes sense to a word that doesn't make sense. So that is the power that these bound morphemes have. They have the power to be able to change a word from one word class to another, as much as being in a position to change the meaning of a word from one meaning to another meaning. Another example of a word that contains both the bound and the free morpheme include realistic. You're going to find that the free morpheme in that word is realist, whereas the bound morpheme that has been added to it is ik at the end of it, making the bound morpheme a suffix. So when the two morphemes are combined, then they form the word realistic. So note that bound morphemes are also classified as affixes, which I've already stated before. So they are used to show grammatical aspects. That is, they're used to show the tense, the plural, the progressive aspects, the third person singular, or change of meaning. That is from one word class to another, like I'd stated. In the word irritation and irritate, when you add the suffix ion to the word irritate, it moves from being a verb to being a noun. I hope you're together till there. In case of any question, please type it at the chat box. I'm going to answer it. So you're going to find that affixes can be divided into three categories. Prefixes, which are bound morphemes that are placed before the roots, and the root. For example, if I say walked, it is a combination of walk and the suffix ed, which makes it become past tense. So walk for us there, that is the root. And that is what I mean here when I say that prefixes, these are bound morphemes that are placed before the root. So if I say unrealistic, realistic is our root, whereas un is our prefix there, forming the word unrealistic. So infixes are placed in between the syllable of the root. An example is, let me try seeing if I have an example here. An example of an infix is Let me see. Yeah, an example is this is based on Philippines, yeah. I don't think we have lots of them in English. So in Philippines, they say Bumasa command arm. So you're going to find that the in between infix that is basa, it means to read, yeah. And that is instead of being either at the beginning or at the end, it's found at the in between the word. I hope you together, yeah? So the other one is the suffix, and these are morphemes that are placed after the roots. Note that English only has prefixes and suffixes. So examples of prefixes include uncomfortable, and being the prefix there. Another example is post-colonial, post being the prefix there. Another prefix is incorrect, in being the prefix there. So as I wind up our class for today, that is all I wanted to tackle. Having in mind it's just the beginning of the semester. I don't want to bombard you with a lot of things or a lot of information. However, I hope that you as a learner have had an understanding of what morphology is, have also had an understanding of what morpheme is. You can clearly state the difference between a free morpheme and a bound morpheme. If kept in a predicament where you're supposed to give examples of a free morpheme and a bound morpheme, I believe you will be in a position to answer the question. So that was it for today's class. If you need any further reading requirements, I've posted some e-resources at the documents, at the file, which contains the topic one notes. You can go through it and have a look at all the resources I've posted there. There is As the Linguistics 2019, which tackles affixes, stem, roots retrieved from. There's the URL there, which is going to take you to YouTube. Then there's also Native Language 2013, which tackles grammar of words. It tackles morphemes and allomorphs. And there's also As the Linguistics 2019, which tackles what morphology is. So if you need any further clarification, be sure to go visit those e-resources, or you can also contact me. I've kept my contacts at the at your portal. You can easily contact me through my email or through my WhatsApp. So that was it for today's class. I hope the class was engaging. I hope you learned a lot from it. And yeah, in case of any inquiries, feel free to search for me either through my WhatsApp or my email or meet me at the office. So have a good day and take care of yourselves. Bye. See you in our next class.